welcome back. Let's find out what happens to Albert and Ernie next in Albert and the Blubber Monster. Chapter 7. The Key. Albert and Ernie were locked in a cage high above the ground. Hanging next to it was a small boat with a skeleton sitting inside, a fishing rod grasped between its bony fingers. Ernie looked at it, his face as white as chalk. "That's what Lord Blubber does to humans." "Don't worry, Ern, we'll find a way to get out." But as Albert said it, he realised he didn't have a clue how. "Oi! Quick talking up there!" Bullethead called from a chair he was slouched on below. "Lord Blubber is having a nap. You better not wake him unless you want your heads ripping off." "Sorry, Pointy Nose," said Albert. The boys fell silent. Time dragged by, but it gave Albert the chance to think of a plan. He eyed up the skeleton's fishing rod and the key hanging on a hook next to Bullethead. He just needed the guard to fall asleep. Hours later, Albert finally saw Bullethead's eyes close and his head drop. "Ern, you got skinny arms," Albert whispered. "Can you reach through the bars of our cage and grab the skeleton's fishing rod?" Ernie frowned, but he slid his arm through between the bars. He reached over, having to press himself right against the bars to touch the skeleton's hand. He flinched. "Keep going," Albert whispered. Ernie grabbed the fishing rod. It came away easily, but so did one of the skeleton's fingers. The finger flew out of the boat and clattered to the floor below. Albert grimaced. Bullethead turned towards the noise, but his eyes were still shut. Ernie pulled the fishing rod into the cage. "Here you go. Great work, Ern." Albert took the rod. He swung the fishing line between the bars as if he was out of his boat. The hook on the end of it went nowhere near the key and bounced along the floor. Albert reeled the line back in and tried again. This time the hook flew into Bullethead's armour. Clang! Bullethead simply grunted and continued sleeping. "Third time lucky," whispered Ernie. Albert released the line again. It whooshed through the air. With a jangling sound, it hooked onto the key. "I think you've got it," said Ernie. Albert reeled the line in and, with a tug, the key lifted off the wall and dangled across the room towards them. Chapter 8. Lord Blubber's Bedroom. Their footsteps echoed around the castle as they ran, looking left and right for Lord Blubber. "Where is he?" Ernie panted. A loud rumbling echoed down the corridor. A few seconds later, another rumble followed. Albert grinned. "That's him snoring! Follow that noise!" The snoring came from behind a huge wooden door. With all their strength they heaved it open. The full force of the sound hit them, rattling through their bodies. Ahead was a gigantic bed, almost twice their height. "Lift me up, Ern!" Albert climbed onto Ernie's shoulders. He gripped the edge of the bed and pulled himself up onto the squidgy mattress. In front of him was the sickly green mass of Lord Blubber. Albert leant back over the side, grabbed Ernie's hands and pulled him up. "There it is!" Albert pointed at the ring on the monster's little finger with the shiny purple mirrorstone. "I hope he's in a deep sleep." Albert climbed over to the monster's hand and sat on it. "I'll hold his finger down. You pull the ring off," he told Ernie. Ernie's hands shook as they hovered over Lord Blubber's huge finger. He grasped the ring and tugged it. "It's not budging." "Keep trying," Albert whispered. Ernie did, but the monster's finger was too blubbery and the ring got stuck in between the rolls of fat. Grunt! Ernie jumped back at the sounds, but Albert didn't have a chance. He was being lifted up. He clung onto Lord Blubber's finger as it was swung in the air. The monster had woken up. He was about to shout to Ernie to run when he saw that the monster's eyes were firmly shut. He was still asleep. Albert held on tightly as Lord Blubber's hand travelled up to his face. The top of the monster's little finger disappeared deep inside his nose. "Oh!" thought Albert, holding onto his finger, which began to drip with gooey green liquid. Lord Bubba gave a satisfied snort and lowered his arm to the bed. Albert jumped off, wiped his face and felt the snot smear all over him. Gross! Monster bogies! They're all over you! And the ring! Ernie screwed up his face. The liquid plopped from the monster's finger and formed a puddle on the bed. Come on, we've got to get the ring off, said Albert. I'm not touching that. Ern, it's just a bit of snot. Ernie stepped forward slowly, staring at the ring. His left foot slipped into the snot puddle. Splat. He landed right in it. Yuck! Ernie yelled, forgetting about keeping quiet. Albert leant down and helped his friend up. Ernie's face glistened with glue. He looked like he was about to be sick. Ernie puffed out his cheeks. Okay, so now I'm covered too. Let's just get on with this. Together they grabbed hold of their ring and heaved. Lord Blubber's snot squelched around Albert's hand, but the disgusting liquid made it so much easier to pull. They staggered back, grinning, as the ring came off the monster's finger. And that's it for this evening. Come back tomorrow.